So, if you've ever had a project that was supposed to take 2 weeks and somehow you're now in month 2 or 3, I want you to hear this because I've been there and it's a lot more common than anyone admits. And it's usually not because your client is being difficult, it's because you didn't set boundaries in advance. So, today I want to give you the exact words I use to draw the line without losing the client and without feeling like the bad guy. Okay, so here's today's email. It says, "Dear Christy, my client keeps adding just one more thing, and the project that was supposed to take 2 weeks is now in month 2. How do I stop scope creep without losing them? Signed, Buried in Quick Favors." All right, Buried. First of all, take a breath. This is so normal, and every designer I know has had some version of this happen, myself included. And the fix really isn't about working harder or faster or being firmer. It's a shift to your system. And once you have it, it stops this happening to you. So I'll walk you through it. So the part I think a lot of us get backwards is we assume the problem is that we keep saying yes to all the extra requests, but that is not it. The actual problem is that there was never a clear boundary for those requests to bump up against in the first place. Because think about it from your client side for a second. When they say, "Oh, could we also add a blog and a booking page?" They're not usually trying to take advantage of you, and they don't understand what goes into creating those things. In their mind, the whole thing is just my website, and my website doesn't have any boundaries. So if we haven't shown them where the edges are to what we will do for them as part of the package, they genuinely don't know they're asking for something extra, and that's on us, not them. So there are 2 changes that I make. The answer isn't learning to say no, because saying no just makes the whole thing feel kind of awkward and tense. The answer is giving all of those great ideas somewhere to go. And that's where my very favorite phrase in this whole business comes in. So I actually learned this from another Squarespace expert. Shout out to Christine Neal. And I'm telling you, it changed the way I run every single project. When a client comes to you in the middle of a build with a shiny new idea, you don't shut it down and you don't try and scramble and do it then. You just say, "Oh, I love that idea. Let's add it to phase 2. And I know that sounds almost too simple, but it does a lot of things at once, and it's actually kind of brilliant. So first, it makes your client feel heard. You told them you loved the idea, so there's no rejection happening. They feel good about it, right? They had an idea, and you're like, "That's cool." Second, it protects your timeline. The build you're on stays on track to actually launch. Third, and this is a big one, it positions you as the organized pro. You're not scrambling. You're not the designer who says no. You're the designer who has a plan that you're sticking to. And fourth, and this is the one that I really love, part 2 is a future paid project. So that just one more thing that used to become free overtime, now it's the start of your next invoice down the road for that client. So what I do is keep a little running phase 2 list, just a shared Google Doc with your client or whatever works for your system. And every just one more thing goes on that document that says phase 2. Your client gets to watch their ideas being captured instead of brushed off, or instead of you seeming annoyed that they're asking for stuff. Nobody feels bad, and you still get to launch the original project on time. But the caveat is the phase 2 line only works if you've drawn those boundaries before the build starts. You can't really keep the rails on the project if you don't know where the rails are. So here's what that looks like for me. Before a client ever books with me on the discovery call, I get really clear about the scope out loud, how many pages, what's included, and I also talk about what's not included, scheduling, setting up emails, all of that. I say it on the discovery call, it goes in the proposal, there's actually line items for add-ons, and it's in the contract too. And I know that feels kind of repetitive, but that's the point, because a client hears something once, they might remember it. If they hear it 3 times or see it 3 times, they are going to absorb that and understand those boundaries. And then when a real scope change does come up, let's say they really need the 3 extra pages now, not in phase 2, that actually goes on its own detailed invoice. And you're really specific, friendly, and clear. So it's like, this is an add-on to our contract, 3 additional pages, here's the rate. So if they look back at it months later, there's no confusion. But really what you want to do is put everything you can in that phase 2 document to keep everything running smoothly. It's really those 3 things together: clear boundaries up front, your phase 2 list during the build, and detailed invoices for genuine changes that need to happen during the project. That's the whole system, and that's how a 2-week project can actually stay a 2-week project. So buried in quick favors, you don't have to fight your clients, you just keep the rails on kindly. Oh, I love that. Let's put it in phase 2. And that's really it. Try setting the boundaries early in phase 2 on your next project and drop in the comments how it feels. And if you'd like the actual templates behind all of this, the proposal language, the scope checklist, the onboarding emails that draw those boundaries for you so you're not scrambling, that's a big part of what's inside the Web Designer's Playbook. I'll drop the link in the description below. It's exactly the system I wish someone had handed me back when I was getting started working in Squarespace. Because like I said at the beginning, it was never your client's fault. They just needed someone to show them where the line was. And that somebody gets to be you. You're the boss. And if you've got your own Dear Christy question, drop it in the comments below or go to christyprice.com/Dear Christy. I read every single one and yours might just be the next message I answer. Thanks so much for watching, and I wish you all the best with your web design business.